How about compound trouble, which this guy seems to just generate all the time and doesn't know when to stop. Sebastian is, or has, put himself into a worse scenario than ever before. But anyway, historically speaking, I was listening to Brevis StreamYard, and he had a guest on there, and then Sebastian came on there last night. The short stories being shared with his other guest. But who pops on there but Sebastian, who can't stay off, who he admitted himself that under his particular situation, with really nobody to really talk to, that he needs social media to get out his stress and so forth and communicate with the rest of the world. But you see, under circumstances with Sebastian, as much as one would understand that situation, and I do, I do, I absolutely do, there's sometimes when you just got to say no. There's sometimes when you just got to restrain yourself from doing certain things. Yeah, what's more important, making money or Sebastian, who kind of got himself into a bad situation? Why make it worse? He himself on his last live said that it was all taking a toll on his relationship. Well, I would suspect so. Sebastian happened to have a girlfriend and, very Christian, very Catholic. And it must be very hard for her to have to listen to all the lies from him. As much as she's like to see him out of his particular situation of Sebastian, I think it's getting to the point there's probably more arguments over this. Why did you put a show on? Why did you do this? Why did you say that? You're making it worse for yourself, Sebastian. But he don't listen to her. Remember we said that, oh, I'll never beat up my girlfriend. And he goes, I'm argumentative and I'll yell at her. Well, you shouldn't be yelling at her at all. I mean, get the hint, sweetheart. Get the hint. You know what I'm saying, guys? Get a clue of what's to come. But Sebastian, one can't help being themselves. I mean, it's literally impossible for a leopard to remove his spots. You can't. Nature endowed that leopard with spots. And a leopard, some animals could change their appearance, but a leopard can't do that. And this is like one of those situations where you just can't change. And partially that you don't want to change, or you don't know how to change. But when you can't change to something more positive, you remain in that swill of negativity. And that negativity only gets you in trouble even more and more and more. Isn't that the truth? So the Lake Cebu situation was an out-and-out lie on what really happened. The minute he got into this country, Sebastian was creating havoc in somebody's life. And as the years went by, it continued. Destroying lives. Destroying lives. A pattern that continued even till today. And it doesn't stop right there. Because it will actually never stop. Some people learn from their mistakes, but not everybody can do that. And Sebastian is one of these guys that doesn't learn from his mistakes. Well, I wouldn't be surprised if it's taken a toll on Sebastian's relationship. I don't know. I think Sebastian's girlfriend eventually will wake up from her coma, but I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Some people like punishment. I don't know. And I'm not going to try to take a guess at what's going on, although I have a very good idea what's going on with Sebastian and his girlfriend. I think I got a very good idea what's going on. Not to be discussed on here, but use your own wit to figure it out for yourself. Anyway, I got to use the facilities pretty soon here. I'm not going to be on too much longer here. You might go check out Brevis's last StreamYard, where Sebastian made an appearance on there. Of course, not on camera. Just can't help getting on somebody's live stream or creating his own. I understand the circumstances, and I probably would feel the same way, in all honesty. But I think in Sebastian's situation, it's not going to work very well for him. Multiple personality disorder says, does she know if he takes her to the States, she's going to be living in a shed in a trailer park? I don't know. I don't think she's figured out anything yet. Remember, the star, the sun, and the moon was promised. I just don't see how it's going to really happen. A truck with a slide-out barbecue, a refrigerator. Sebastian has some dreams. But I think what Sebastian is doing, he's laying it on really strong on her, big time, with the lovey-dovey stuff and getting to a typical Filipinos emotions. They're very emotional people by heart, which is a good thing. But sometimes you become so naive that you'll believe what a lot of foreigners have taken advantage of Filipinos in that way. They lay on all this stuff and make all these promises. Everything's going to be better, and we're going to get together, get married, and be happy, and we're going to live in a nice place, and we're going to have a nice truck, we're going to travel the States, and geez. Which, of course, as you know, is not a reality. More likely a cardboard box, actually, multiple personality disorder. To dream the impossible dream. Of course, I'm not a lyricist and I don't know the rest of the words. But I found it humorous in how he changed the story around about Lake Cebu and the Sari Sari store. Sebastian was lying yet again. When everybody knows the real story of Sebastian and what happened, because it was discussed and the details came out, because I believe, and please correct me if I'm wrong, that she actually spoke out about this and gave the real story, the Hollywood true story on this. There was nothing that he said. You heard that Baguio Life is filing adoption papers for Sebastian. They are planning Thanksgiving dinner now. I don't know what that means. Oh, I know Baguio doesn't like Sebastian. Okay, I got that. Not at all. That's a fact, amongst others. I don't know. I guess Sebastian's prediction is that he's going to be spending a Thanksgiving at home and having a turkey with the family. And I don't know how he plans to accomplish that. I really don't know. Mr. Merciful says that this woman will never be approved for a visa. Yeah, you're correct on that. That would never happen. I mean, I know that as a fact. And I know the ramifications of lying. They're very good when they interview you. They look at your eyes, they look at your hands, your motion, they feel you out, they listen to your answers. Yeah, I've heard a few YouTubers do some stories on that. Actually, for real. It doesn't work out. So, if you were like a chick in a situation like that, gee, how do I address this? What's going on a woman like that. What the hell is going on? Why would she believe anything that Sebastian says, considering his track record? I don't get it. You hear me saying that a lot. I just don't get it. Multiple says, of course she won't, but the lowlife has her brainwashed into thinking so. He's damaged her life. She's innocent. She fell for his scam. Yes, I would have to agree with you on that. I'll either agree or disagree on something. I have to agree with you on that one. Sebastian's a smooth talker when he needs to, but he always gets caught in a lie later on. That's just his pattern. But it's unfortunate, not that I should feel sorry for his girlfriend. After all, what she's trying to do is not very kosher. Not at all. And she's going to get hurt in the end from him. She's going to have a meltdown. It's not like Sebastian's girlfriend doesn't know what's going on with Sebastian. She's seen his videos, she's seen all this stuff, but despite seeing all that, she will come up with a statement like, he's a really good man. And I'm like, then what would you consider a bad man? But I hate to think of that. If this is a good man, her values are kind of in a disarray. They say the video of him threatening the waitress was actually true. Well, everybody saw Sebastian's video. You make your own assessments from that. He just didn't want to pay his bar bill. Simple as that. I don't want to get into that. I could say a whole lot about that. Yeah. Well, sometimes a person's true colors really show out, but not. Some people are colorblind. His girlfriend is apparently colorblind. But there's always circumstances of why somebody would want somebody like Sebastian. And I could think of a lot of reasons why. But we won't discuss it on here. Just use your own imagination. What's actually going on with that? Quite a bit, actually. You know, man, if I was a chick with all the great choices out there, she picks Sebastian. I mean, it's her own doing. She has the right to be with whoever she wants to be with. She has a full right. But the problem is, as we all know, is that disaster is around the corner. It always is. That Sebastian has ruined the life of every single woman he's ever been with. Let's see. Brain damage says, Phil citizens seeking tourist visas must have minimum of equivalent of 10,000 US dollars in Philippines currency in a Philippines bank account, or they won't get past the first interview. Yes, exactly. As multiple personality says, exactly. And I think I mentioned that earlier. That's about the right figure. Where would she get 10,000 American dollars? And again, as I said earlier, it can't be something that was recently deposited in the bank. They're not that stupid at immigration with situations like that. They're not that stupid. Anybody can do that. Hey, do me a favor, man. I'll give you the money back. You know, put 10,000 in my account because that's the only way I'm going to get a tourist visa to go to the United States. No. They see right through that shit, man. You would have had to have an established bank account containing X amount of money for a set period of time. That's the way it works. Multiple personality disorder says Sebastian's overstay fine and fees are around $600,000. Might be a while for him going to Vegas and marry her. Oh, the Sebastian guy. Okay. We got a lot of similar situations out there, it seems. Yeah, it kind of sounds that way. Multiple. A lot of hurdles to get over for Sebastian. A lot of hurdles. I imagine if this guy had hair, he'd probably be pulling it out by now. But you reap what you sow and all that crap. And I guess that's exactly what's happening. Of course, there's a lot of things I'd like to say on here, but I'm restrained from saying it, as you understand. But of course, we're talking about Sebastian, which has a very similar situation to another YouTuber. Got himself into a real heap of trouble. Sometimes it's better off just being in the background. Sometimes it is. And I tell myself that all the time. I don't always listen to myself, as, for example, doing a show now. For the past 4 days or so, I've been doing shows on here. And normally I'd be very reluctant to do so, but in light of some of the events that were going on, it was like, a definite that I had to do a few shows on here. I know many people say it's impossible for me to get off. Well, there's part of me that does not want to get off YouTube because I've been doing it for a long time. It's an outlet. But then there's another part of me that says, okay, what is the purpose of it all? All right, if you want to address something, maybe you do a show now and then to address something, but don't be going on every day and getting into the same pattern that you've done in the past, because it's very easy to do, obviously. Very easy. It's not always an easy thing to do. You guys got to hold on for a segundo here. Anyway, sorry about that. I had to take care of something that was pretty urgent. So what's the conclusion of all this, really? If we had to put a whole conclusion to everything about Sebastian, everything he done, everything he said, I don't think there's no words and no no real explanation as to why somebody does what they do on a consistent basis like that and never achieve what they actually set out to do. And unfortunately, in the process, they get themselves into trouble. That's not a clear thinking person. Maybe Popeye can use his connection in the Naval Command to get Sebastian a ride home. Oh, he'll be home sometime. Sebastian will be home, but it may be years down the line. But look, if you really think that I'm going to feel sorry for this guy in any fucking way, this guy, Sebastian, has done some really, really dastardly things that a human can do. I've been watching this movie called Prison Break. It's a long series, and there's one character in there that reminds me of him. This guy was calculating and devious and always getting into trouble, and the prison mentality, And I see, a similarity. I definitely see a similarity between one of the characters in this movie. Oh, absolutely. You start a series, and it's hard to, you can't just turn off on a series, because that's the whole idea of a series, keep you, in suspense, and then you got to wind up watching the whole damn thing. Unfortunately, that's why it's called a series, to get you all hooked up into it and like hooked on phonics. Oh, is Popeye simulcasting my show again? Oh, I'm just really happy to be able to provide entertainment for him, for his time. We certainly understand his situation, how much time he has on his hands. I don't know. Sometimes, actually, believe it or not, sometimes I actually feel sorry for Popeye. Strangely enough. So much time on his hands, he don't know what to do with that. That's why he does the things he does. But, people get themselves into that situation. You don't remain active. You don't, when does he ever talk about friends coming over? He doesn't. I mean, he doesn't. Okay, let me see here. Mazda 9 says, my understanding is that when it comes to jail and things like that, and these certain kind of cases, is that the maximum prison stay per cyber libel charge is 12 years. The minimum is 6 years per charge. Oh, really? Well, I guess somebody who's ever got themselves into that situation, I guess that wouldn't work out real well. Personally, I can't imagine. I can't imagine. And I don't want to imagine. If I had to go to jail for anything out here, well, let's put it this way. Because of the COVID situation last time, I got stuck. And that's not the right word to use, stuck, because it was a beautiful place. But I had to stay well over a year away from my loved one. You notice I don't say my beautiful, gorgeous fiance or whatever. I already know she's attractive. I don't have to add those words. I'm not trying to prove anything. But, you know, as long as there was communication with her, I was fine. I was fine. I mean, it worked out. It also enabled me to send many Balikbayan packages, over to the Philippines. I had access to the stores and products that I just really could not get in the Philippines. Very hard to get. Or just didn't exist. And boy, I sent a lot of shit, I gotta tell you. You know what the funny thing was? When I was first moving out to the Philippines, I brought my luggage and all that. And I did something like really stupid. I was bringing cutlery, spoons, forks, knives, and things from home that I could have just bought in the Philippines. And that added to the weight, and they wound up charging me a lot of money. I had everything but the kitchen sink in my baggage when I came over. It just didn't dawn on me that when I hit Manila, they were going to hit me up for a couple of $100. Yeah, that happened. There was some really unnecessary shit that I took that I should have just left behind. I had a yard sale, and I was selling before I left, whatever that was saleable, and people bought all of it. All of it went, except for a couple of small items. It all went. Even an O-O bar. I bet you don't know what an O-O bar is. And that went for $15. I couldn't for an O-O bar. An O-O bar is a piece of metal with a flattened end. It's like when you want to try to get leverage or something. Okay. And you want to stick it under something and lift the item up. It could also be used for breaking up concrete. And in Hawaii, they call it an O-O bar. Okay. I forgot what we call it in the mainland. But they call it an O-O bar. Shit, I got $15 for that piece of metal. And I had a lot of shit that I sold too. I didn't make a lot of money. I made about, I don't know, $300 from some of my. No, more than that. No. It was more than that. A lot more than that, as I recall, actually. Sold everything but the goddamn kitchen sink. Okay, comment time. Popeye could get a sidecar for his e-bike with matching helmets. One saying dad and the other one saying lad. Okay. Mr. Merciful says, no way Popeye hates him. Popeye uses him for content. Multiple says, nah, Popeye had a change of heart, haha. Mazda 9 says, in imprisonment, the penalty of cyber libel is 1 degree higher. Yes, I know that. Than the traditional libel, and could range from 4 years, 2 months, and 1 day to 8 years. Looks like I was mistaken. Well, that's long enough. Even 1 month is too long. I don't ever want to be put in that situation. I hope that never happens, I'll tell you that. But I'd fight tooth and nail to make sure that it would never happen to me. But, I survived being without my girlfriend for 1 year and 2 months. As long as we had our communication going at one point or another, I was fine. It allowed me to put stuff together and send over, and it kind of worked out pretty good. Of course, it's a different situation. I wasn't imprisoned. Shit, I was in Hawaii, for God's sakes. I mean, if you got to be stuck anywhere, Hawaii? That's not called being stuck. You're lucky. And I was lucky enough to live in Hawaii for over 14 years. How many people get to do that? Oh, they laugh about this and laugh about that, but how many people have actually lived and owned a home in Hawaii? I don't know anybody personally on YouTube all the years I've been on here that has ever had that situation. Hawaii is like one of the ideal places everybody wants to visit. Of course, they don't know the real story about Hawaii unless you've been living there and you've walked the central neighborhoods and you've been into the locals' neighborhoods. I've lived in a very local neighborhood, besides foreigners living there too, but there was lawyers and so forth, and the subdivision I lived in, lawyers, doctors, you name it. So it wasn't actually a downtrodden place that I lived in, actually. There were some very, very influential people, or people with a really good, shall I call it, a pedigree. Let's see. Mr. Merciful says, Gogo Bobo's sister and Mike Luna are funding him. I think they are a same-sex couple. Well, I wouldn't know that. I'm not going to make a comment on that. But I think because Sebastian lies so much, I think eventually people are just catching on and saying, look, I'm going to support you and give you money, Sebastian. I want to know it's for a good reason. But don't lie to us about what's really going on. Because we're trying to support you because, well, we don't like the other guy, and we really don't like you. But for the cause, we're willing to give you some money. But then when he lies to the very people who have funded him, that's what I think there's going to be a breakup. There's going to be a divorce at some point or another. You can't lie to your contributors. And if you do so, you're a louse. Look, people eventually wake up. There's a lot of slow people out there. And they think they're helping Sebastian out, but they're not helping him at all. When he comes back and removes him from his channel or doesn't tell them the truth of what's really going on. They figure that the guy is trying to be righteous and trying to change his life, but then he doesn't do that. So what good is the funding for this guy if he's not doing the things that he should be doing to help his situation? After all, when somebody donates to you, what they're doing is, hey, use this money to help your situation out, but don't lie to me. And that's where some people draw the line. They say, look, I was willing to help you out, but did you come out with these out and out lies? And you're lying to me, your donator, that this has got to stop. It's like, I don't mind helping you out for whatever cause or reason that they want to help Sebastian out, but I think everything comes to a head after a while. It all does. And my famous saying, it all comes out in the wash. And then they decide, maybe it wasn't a good idea to help Sebastian out at all. Maybe I've been taken advantage of. Thumbs up, people. What, I got one thumbs up on here? It's all right. I'm not really into that shit anyway. I'm not trying to get monetized. I can get monetized anytime I want. I got the watch hours and all that shit. I got enough subscribers. I'm not worried about it because it's not like I planned this big future on YouTube. A lot of things have changed. Shit. I turned a big 7 in May, and there's a time when you got to say, well, am I going to do this if I live to be 80? Am I going to be doing this at 80 years old? There's some bloggers out there that are over 80 years old. There's this British guy in the Philippines. He talks really slow. I forgot the name of his show. And his situation is pretty dire. I can't think of the name of the show. He's 76. This guy, he's 76. I believe that's his age. Somehow I just can't see myself still being on here by the time 76. God forbid. Anyway, there's been a lot of events going on, and I've always been a sharing person with my audience. As I said, there's certain things I could share, and there's certain things I can't. So on a kind of a superficial level, I mean, I could do and talk about certain things on here, but it can't go any deeper than that, being that there are things going on that, you just have to take things with an element of caution. Although what I'd like to say was fill an encyclopedia, but sometimes you have to restrain yourself or force yourself to, but some people can't restrain themselves. No, some people can't do that. And they make the situation a lot worse for themselves. I mean, whose fault is that, right? You got to know when to stop. You got to know when to pull back the reins and just let things pan out wherever they go. But not to make a situation worse for themselves. They got a dream. And they want to exercise. They want to be able to get en route to this dream. But you can't make that dream happen unless you take certain precautions, unless you follow the rules, and you behave. It tends to work against you. Wouldn't you say? Anyway, again, I have to figure, I can't be having the same shit every morning. I don't know, I just got to figure what the hell to eat sometimes in the morning, because I just might make just some simple oatmeal this morning. Throw some blueberries in there. I'm not going to touch the granola for a good reason.
I got a whole package of that. I could eat it, but small amounts. Okay, but no, not like I did the other day. That was kind of disastrous, as it proved to be. Not going into total detail on that. Um, why don't we summarize everything up here? From the first day that Sebastian ever came into this glorious country, there was trouble. And as the years went by, there was more and more trouble. More and more women that he dated and got very disappointed. The women, that is. Things transpired that wasn't cool. And we won't go into details with that for legal purposes. But things were not cool at all. Not for these women. They didn't deserve the treatment that they had from Sebastian. Not at all. And karma kind of takes its place. This is a real case of karma right here. We like to talk about karma all the time, and I always told you I'm a big believer in that. I still am. Nothing has changed on that. No, I still believe in karma. All I know is this guy's got an RSVP to hell when he passes on. We all know where he's going. So if there's a heaven and hell, he's not going up, he's going down. The elevator ride to a fiery hell. For all the things he's done in his life to other people that simply was just not cool at all. Hurting people's lives unnecessarily. Sometimes you have to pay the price in life. And it's not always a pleasant experience, but you would hope, you would think that somebody would learn from their consistent and persistent mistakes. But in this case of this guy called Sebastian, it just doesn't happen. Doesn't have the capacity to understand and ascertain things. He doesn't have the elements to think clearly about a particular situation, which is not very pleasant. The idea is that you want to rise above it all. And you want to do everything you can. You want to tell the truth to people that need to be told the truth. That might be the only people that could help him. But when you lie even to that person who is out there to help you, you're not going to achieve what you're trying to achieve. That's just a fact, son. The truth shall set you free, but not all the time. You got to think before you open your mouth and say anything to anybody. I'm telling you, man, these days you blink wrong at the wrong person. And I remember even when I worked for the parks, we had quite a few of LBGs and all that working for the parks. And they were always looking for an opportunity to sue the city. Oh, I've seen that so many times. So many times. And I discussed an incident. I was on the loading dock. I used to work at the warehouse too, despite people thinking I was walking around picking up condoms. As I said, I wore many hats: horticulture, warehouse, grounds, you name it. But when I did work for the warehouse, there was one bike, a dyke on a bike. I was simply out there, get in early, so be on time for work, just kind of standing out there having a smoke or whatever, bullshitting on a loading dock. just making idle conversation with somebody, happened to be a woman, or maybe it wasn't, but looked like a woman in drag or something. I don't know. Turned around and she claimed that I said something that I never said. And this was taken over to my supervisor. And man, I sat down with that supervisor, and he knows because that same woman, call her such, was pulling this with the plumbing department and the electrical department. She was working as a seasonal, and she worked in a couple of these apartments. Every department she worked in, she tried to pull some shit to try to do a lawsuit, and it didn't work because she got fired, and steam was coming out of her ears, trying to get innocent men in trouble, but it didn't work out very well for her. Okay, has lived a lifetime of always looking for who are you talking about? We're talking about Sebastian here. A lifetime always looking to take the easy way out of every situation he's been in. Well, it seems that Sebastian's taking that same path. It's not my problem, and it's never going to be my problem. I'll only take so much from anyone. Then you got to take action. You could let some shit slide by. There's certain times in life you just can't do that. You got to take the bull by the horns when certain situations arise that are a little bit out of control, that causes damage to somebody's life. Then you have to step forward and say, hey, this is bullshit. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to get it over with. I'm going to make my point. See where it goes. All right, to sum this all up, from the minute that Sebastian came into this country, he caused havoc and left a trail of damage everywhere he went and every person that he's ever met. It's sad that this had to happen, but we have a lot of foreigners that come to this fine country, and they leave a trail of damage, broken hearts, babies. They won't take responsibility. It's really sad. And it's prevalent in the Philippines. Foreigners coming here and wanting to put notches on their belt and don't want to take the responsibility afterwards if the woman becomes pregnant and has a child. Look at Brevis. He's with a woman and he had a child with her, but he also had another girlfriend that he impregnated. And sadly, the news was that that baby died. The question is, did Brevis have any remorse for this at all? Probably not. This is what I mean as far as being an undesirable foreigner. They come out here and they pull that kind of shit on women. It's just not right. I seriously doubt he ever even helped this woman when he found out that she was pregnant and gave birth to his child. The other woman. I mean, how many others? I really don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a number of Brevises, baby Brevises running around out there. I would not be surprised at all. Not at all.
Oh my God, I thought he was never gonna shut up. Can you guys hear me okay? Let's see, like the bar that hit you up for 500 bucks. Yeah, yeah. 23,000 pesos was it? All right, guys, that ends another simulcast. Probably same time, same bat station, and I'll see you all soon.